Hey, good afternoon, everyone. This is Greg McCormick at Georgia Tech. I'm with the Smart Cities and Inclusive Innovation Group. Can everyone hear me? If you can type in the chat box, we'd like to make sure that everyone can hear me. Okay, great. Looks like the audio is working. So thank you all for joining us. I'll go back to the presentation and we'll get started. Great. So this is an opportunity. This is a student opportunity for Smart Community Core. This is an internship opportunity being run by Georgia Tech. It's for Georgia Tech students, undergrad, graduate level of any major. So thank you for joining us. Deborah Lamb's going to be joining me in just a second. She's the Managing Director of Smart Cities and Inclusive Innovation, and I am the Director of the Georgia Smart Communities Challenge, which you'll learn about here in just a minute. We also are going to have Chris Chatfield joining us from SLS. They're one of our partners for this opportunity, and Chris is going to talk about SLS a little bit later in the presentation. So first off, overview of the presentation, we're going to talk about the Georgia Smart Communities Challenge, which is a very integral part of the Smart Community Core. Then we'll talk about the Smart Community Core itself and the opportunity that's presenting itself to you as students to be part of this. How can you become part of it? So the application deadlines and how the application works, the information we're looking for. And then we'll do a brief Q&A at the end. We'll take your questions through the chat area of BlueJeans. So please just leave yourself on mute and your video on mute for this presentation today. And we'll take those questions at the end and go through them when we reach the end of the presentation. So Deborah just joined me. I think she'll be talking about the Smart Cities and Inclusive Innovation and the Georgia Smart Communities Challenge here for you.
Thanks, Greg. Hello, everyone. Thank you again for joining the Smart Community Core webinar. We're delighted to have you. Like Greg said, I want to just provide a quick overview of what we're doing here at Smart Cities and Inclusive Innovation and talk a little bit about the core and, hopefully encourage you all to apply. So the first thing is just obviously we wanted to share with you how we think about smart cities. Since that's fundamental to the Smart Community Core. And how we define smart cities is very much a continuous improvement process. So there's no end state, and it's very much committed to the community's needs and meeting them where they are. And so using the appropriate and suitable integration of technology and data to improve the quality of life. And through that framework, it allows for any community, regardless of size or population, to really utilize and be empowered with technology and data. We really believe it positions Georgia Tech very well because they have expertise in that full life cycle. So, from the actual components or the ingredients of smart cities, whether that's hardware or software, to, understanding the function in terms of how it's applied, to using that function to meet the vision. And so wherever that community is, they can think about that suitable mix of tools from policy and financial models to the technology and data. Out of this thinking is how we came up with the pilot's Georgia Smart Community Challenge. And it's really the first of its kind that really focuses on statewide activities where it allows us to think about where is the most innovative and impactful R&D that Georgia Tech has to benefit the community. And it's been an award-winning success that we're really proud of. And today we have over 2/3 of Georgia represented with communities across the state and 8 projects that are very active engaged with Georgia Tech research in trying to address critical problems that the community faces with technology and data. This is our second year doing the Smart Community Core. We had our inaugural year of Smart Community Core with our inaugural list of projects. But this year we have 4 projects, 2 in Metro Atlanta with Milton and Woodstock, and 2 in Greater Georgia with Columbus and Macon. And again, each of these projects are very different projects. You can definitely look at the website and each of their web pages for more information on the projects, including the community's proposal. But the selected project is led by the local government, trying to address a problem utilizing research and technology, and they're paired with a corresponding Georgia Tech professor. And each Georgia Tech professor is a range of different expertise and discipline, and you can see in Columbus you have John Taylor and his team in civil engineering. And then Macon has city and regional planning, and the range goes from there. So it's really important that the Smart Community Core member knows that it's a very strong project team to begin with, starting obviously with the local community, but then building that relationship from the researcher that's connected to that community. By the time the Smart Community Core happens in the summer, just know that the projects would have already gone for 3/4 of the year. So the winners were announced in June through a pretty competitive selection process. The projects kicked off in September with our fall workshop, and we're going to have our next workshop looking at midterm review of the projects in March. And then the last, hump of the project is really dedicated to Smart Community Core, where the students will be building off from the work that's already been happening and going into the final workshop that's happening in September. Throughout this time for the Georgia Smart projects, obviously there have been site visits and webinars and newsletters, and I know some of you have received our monthly newsletters, but not only does the community get the financial assistance for Georgia Smart, we really overlay it with technical and project management assistance as well to ensure success on the project. Given the fact that this was a research pilot to engage research relationship with the community, we also wanted to take a step back at the beginning of our pilot to say, how can we better engage our Georgia Tech students? And the broader question is, how can we ensure that from a workforce development, we are providing, smart cities type training that takes it outside the classroom. And to that end, we credit the research that Nathaniel and Abigail did for us a couple years ago that looked at the various fellowship programs such as Teach for America, AmeriCorps, and FuseCorps in terms of the different fellowship programs and opportunities and how they were set up. And that provided essentially the basis for us to pull those best practices and develop the Smart Community Core. It is also part of our support on the Provost's lifetime education commitment, where we support, continuous learning, especially outside the classroom, especially one that is connected to hands-on learning with the community. And so, the development of Smart Community Core is definitely based on best practices from different student opportunities, as well as grounded in our Georgia Tech commitment to the state of Georgia and its communities, as well as understanding our role in education and workforce development. So you probably have seen our website, but this was our inaugural class of Smart Community Core members. We had a great first class, and it's from that first class that we were able to get additional funding to continue this second class to support our 2020 Georgia Smart Communities. The benefits that we want to lay out in Smart Community Core is obviously, clear cut. We understand that, the education and workforce training, being on the forefront of a smart city project, working closely with the local government and the Georgia Tech researcher. But we also want to ensure that this is a full-time paid opportunity. So the students will get $6,000 for the 10-week full-time work. This is actually an increase from last year, where the students were paid $5,000. So we were able to secure a bit more money for the Smart Community Core students. And then from that, obviously, in addition to the work, we provide mentorship and seminars and some equipment support throughout. And, once you join the Smart Community Core, the idea is that you become, part of our Georgia Smart family and part of the wider Smart Community Core community that we are trying to position for Georgia. And what we'll say is, especially from the first class, is that when other communities hear about the Smart Community Core program, they always want to hear about the students' experience and what they did and how they felt about it. And it's a really good way to showcase Georgia Tech talent and obviously connect with the community. So specifically on the timeline and where we are, obviously we had a soft launch at the end of December last year and a more dedicated promotion right now. We're at the webinar where, this webinar is live and you can answer or ask any questions at the end, but it will also be recorded so you can always come back to it. The application deadline is due in a couple weeks in mid-February. Then from that point on until March, we're going to have some selected interviews with the finalists with the local government and the corresponding Georgia Tech researcher. We understand that, you need to know your summer plans as soon as possible. So the idea is that the finalists will be notified by mid-March. That gives us enough time, hopefully, to introduce the Smart Community Core for our spring workshop at the end of March. Obviously, the selected Smart Community Core students are invited to our spring workshop and start meeting the Georgia communities and connecting with the Georgia Tech professor. The actual internship is 10 weeks over the course of the summer in mid-May to early August. And, the idea is that you will start as a cohort and end as a cohort. So you will really be part of a community. And then we have a final presentation during our fall workshop in September. So, we might ask you to come back during that period to, present your findings and deliverables. Throughout the summer, obviously we want to build you up for success. So, we will be arranging standing communications. Like I said, there will be seminars. We'll be asking you to journal and use social media to tweet about your experience. We've also pulled in Signs for Georgia, who can provide some additional support for your experience in terms of blogging and journaling and publications. So that's some additional support during the summer for the core members. Specifically, some more detailed bullets and program requirements. All this is in our website, which we'll show you how to get to. But the work requirements are, this is a full-time position over the summer, and there's some objectives that we need to identify for each of the projects. You will be acting as a cohort and connecting to SLS. And we'll have SLS, one of our key partners, talk a little bit about their program over the summer. but there will be some progress reports and followed by a midterm and final reflection during the Georgia Smart schedule. So the placement. So this year, we actually have more opportunities for Smart Community Core. We have 7 placements. 4 of the Smart Community Core members will be based in each of the Georgia Smart communities, Milton, Woodstock, Columbus, and Macon, and be embedded into that community with the local government support and obviously working with the corresponding professors from that. One of them will be in Atlanta, looking at it from a Smart Cities for All perspective of the 4 Georgia Smart projects. And 2 of them will be more focused on our EPA project. By and large, our major requirement is that we are open to students of all majors, and we had all majors in our first cohort as well, so we're not too selective about that, and really encourage you to look at those opportunities. So each of them are also connected to a professor, like I said, and you can kind of see where those projects and placements are going to be within the 5. And then briefly on the EPA project, this is connected with Dr. Valerie Thomas in ISYE, and you can click on the job description, but we'll basically have 2 interns look at 2 communities in Georgia through a life cycle assessment model that the EPA has connected. These 2 projects will also have oversight with EPA. And EPA will provide a lot more guidance in terms of how they want to test their model, collect the data using the 2 selected communities in Georgia over the summer. And Dr. Valerie Thomas is very excited about these two students on this project as well. Couple more links to show you. Obviously, you probably already seen this, but we have a dedicated Smart Community Core homepage, and then within that 2020 this summer's webpage, which gives you the specific application deadlines and dates, as well as the job description, and of course the application that you can fill out on Qualtrics online. The key dates again on the website are on the bottom, as well as the applications and some general FAQs and supporting information on if you want to discover more. But certainly you are welcome to ask us at the end of this, but also reach out if you have additional questions. The main thing in terms of the application, and we've kept it pretty straightforward, is, in addition to information about who you are and a brief written statement on why you want to be a Smart Community Core, is to please attach your resume and letter of recommendation from, whoever you choose, whether it is a faculty member or an employer that can testify to yourself. I'm going to stop there, and the idea is that we want to bring our SLS team member to talk a little bit about the SLS portion, and then we can circle back with questions.
Great. Thanks so much, Deborah. I just need 1 minute to step out of this presentation and bring Chris Chatfield online for us. Okay, Chris, I think I've unmuted you. If you want to try talking.
I'm here.
I'll see if I can hear you.
Can everyone hear me?
Great, I can hear you here. So we'll hand it over to you, and I'll drive your presentation for you.
Okay, you can go. I'm seeing still the Smart Community Core slide.
There you go.
Oh, that's not me.
One second.
That's okay. There we go.
Pushing the wrong button here.
You can skip that one. You can go to the next one if you want. So, hi everyone. Thanks again for joining us, and thank you to Deborah and Greg for allowing me to hijack a couple minutes of the webinar. I mostly just wanted to explain what Serve, Learn, Sustain is, and just talk a little bit about our internship program as a whole, and also how that relates to the Smart Community Corps. We partnered together with Smart Community Corps on the summer internship, and we are the primary lead on the summer seminar that Deborah mentioned in her presentation, and I'll get to that in a moment. Just for those of you that aren't familiar with Serve, Learn, Sustain, we are an academic program here at Georgia Tech, and we help students connect their interests in sustainability and community engagement to their degree program while they're studying here at Tech. And we do that through opportunities both inside and outside the classroom. And we have a particular focus on partnering with organizations in and around the Atlanta area and some organizations in the state of Georgia to help students have that real world connection between what they're studying and how they would actually apply that when they get out of Tech. And you can go to the next slide, Greg. We offer 6 signature programs. They're listed here. We have a minor, we have a certificate program called Innovating for Social Impact. We offer linked courses, we run an event series, we partner with RCE Greater Atlanta, which is a network focused on the UN Sustainable Development Goals, and then we have our own summer internship program. Go ahead, Greg. And then we also have programs that are very academic focused. We have over 160 courses at Georgia Tech that are affiliated with our program. We offer 5 foundation level courses that really do a deep dive into sustainable communities, and we partner with 10 study abroad programs. Next slide. Through SLS, we take an integrated approach to sustainability. We want students to understand the economic, environment, and societal impact of what sustainability means, and we have a special focus on society and social sustainability, which I will get into in a moment related to the internship program. Go ahead, Greg. We also have 4 particular priority issue areas: community health, equitable and sustainable development, green infrastructure, and climate change and energy. And the majority of our programs focus in on those 4 target areas. All of our internship opportunities every summer have a particular focus in these specific priority issue areas. Next slide. So our summer internship mirrors a little bit of what Deborah just talked about related to the Smart Community Corps. We offer it every summer. This will be our 3rd summer hosting interns. We hire the interns through Georgia Tech Serve, Learn, Sustain, but all of our interns are placed to work out in the community with nonprofits. We have some internships with City of Atlanta. We have some internships outside of Atlanta this year that are project continuations from the partnership that we had last year with the Smart Community Corps. So there's a whole host of projects that are available for student application. As with Smart Community Corps, our interns are registered with C2D2, so they do earn internship course audit credit. We offer full and part-time internships with a stipend. And then students who participate in either the SLS internship program or the Smart Community Corps internship do enroll in the summer seminar that we run. And that's where we really have a significant intersection with Smart Community Corps. So that summer seminar meets every other week for 2 hours. This year we will have an in-person option for students that are based in Atlanta, and we will also offer a distance option for any interns that are outside the city. So the Smart Community Corps interns will be in that distance option. I realize there may be 1 or 2 that are based in Atlanta, but we do want to support Smart Community Corps students in being a cohort. So we really felt like establishing that cohort through the distance option would be the best opportunity. That summer seminar focuses on introducing students to what sustainability and social innovation means and how you would actually apply that. We also do some professional development sessions to help students primarily understand how they would take this unique internship opportunity and really turn it into a story that you can tell on your resume and to future potential employers. So we work very closely with the Center for Career Discovery and Development on that. And as Deborah talked about, there will also be opportunities for reflection. There'll be some, small assignments. A lot of the sessions will be held at different partner locations, and there will be opportunities for students within both the in-person and distance cohort to really share the work that they're doing, get feedback, and talk about, what their experience is over the summer. And then I just want to mention that the internship program does fulfill a requirement for the certificate program that I mentioned, the Innovating for Social Impact. So if that's of interest, the Smart Community Corps internship would also complete that requirement. Next slide. So this is all of our web information. We have a website with an internship page that has all that information on it, including the application for our internship, which is also open. We have an email list if you're interested in getting more information. We send out a weekly newsletter on Mondays, and then you can reach us through the email that's listed. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Chris.
Sure.
So go ahead, Deborah.
Yeah, so just in closing, we really welcome students from all majors and disciplines, and we with SLS think this is a pretty unique opportunity to showcase and support Georgia communities, as well as better understand different smart cities technologies and opportunities. So, our ideal student is one who is just really interested and willing to engage with communities around smart cities and smart communities. Really, again, special thanks to our collaborators. In addition to SLS, we have a few more from C2D2 and the Student Government Association, as well as our support partners from Microsoft and EPA to wrap this up. And then final thanks is to our Greater Georgia Smart partners that, really supported us through the whole program. And, again, if people have questions, we'll be happy to stick around and answer any live questions you have, but feel free to also go to the website or to follow up with us in email if you have any follow-up questions. But we really encourage everyone to apply and are happy to follow up.
Thanks, Deborah. I'm going to find my way back to the chat area and see what kind of questions we have that we can answer for everyone. So please type away. We'll stick around as long as we need to answer as many questions as we can. Again, this is being recorded, so this will be posted to our website this afternoon. So if you need to come back and listen to it again, you'll be able to do that. Or if anyone you know was not able to attend today, it'll be available for them to listen in as well. The presentation has already been uploaded as a PDF that you can download and go through as well on your own time. I'm not seeing any additional questions. There we go. Can I or should I apply to multiple positions? You definitely can if you would like. As part of the application process, we're asking you to rank the opportunities in order of your preference. So in case you're not chosen for your first top position, we will look at your preference order and look at potentially selecting you for a backup position. So we do ask you to go through the process of prioritizing your preferences during your application. So you don't have to apply twice. You'll just, in the application, tell us your priorities. We'll give it just one more minute for anyone to ask additional questions. There we go. I believe it was stated that it was a 10-week program. The slides said 12. Yes, go by the dates that were shown, whatever that adds up to. I believe it was the 18th or so of May to the 7th of August.
Hey, Greg, it's Chris. I think that is 12 weeks because those are our same dates.
Yes. So I think
Apologies, that was just me misspeaking, but it is 12 weeks over the summer.
that was a copy paste error from last year. Last year's opportunity was a 10-week program, and in order to align it better with SLS, we bumped up the opportunity to 12 weeks. Okay, well, I'm not seeing any additional questions. Again, like Deborah mentioned, we're happy to answer your questions through email at sci2@gatech.edu. Also, please go to the website and review all the information that's there. There's a big facts section that should be able to answer most of your questions, and we hope you do apply. So thank you, everyone, for attending, and that concludes today's webinar on the Smart Community Core.
Thank you, everyone.